Most people wake up every day and immediately search for comfort. They hit snooze, they scroll their phones, and they start their day already behind. But there's another breed of people, warriors, who lace up their shoes before the sun rises, not because it's easy, but because it's war home. Morning running is not about cardio. It's not about weight loss. It's about mental dominance. It's about launching yourself into discomfort when the world is still sleeping and proving to yourself that you still run your life. You want to grow. You want to grow. You want to build grit. You want to transform your mind from weak to unbreakable. Then stop reading books about motivation and start putting in the damn miles. Each morning run is a battle. You're not running away from life. You're running into the fire. Every step, every drop of sweat, every aching muscle is telling your brain, I'm in control now. Not you, not fear, not fatigue. Me. Morning running isn't a workout. It's a mental crucible. It exposes your weaknesses and forces you to decide, will I quit or will I become something greater? You learn to suffer. You learn to show up when no one's watching. And that right there is where champions are forged. Running before sunrise teaches you discipline. Waking up before the sun when the world is silent and still is an act of rebellion against comfort. It's a declaration that you're not here to take the easy route. When you lace up your shoes in the dark and head out the door while others are wrapped in warm blankets, you're making a statement, not to the world, but to yourself. You're saying, I control my actions, not my feelings. Oh, that's the foundation of discipline. It's not about being motivated. It's about building a mental structure that doesn't bend, even when everything in your body screams for rest. Most people will never understand the value of that decision because they've never made it. They'll never feel what it's like to win a war before 6 a.m. Discipline is not built in comfort. It's built in that moment when your alarm goes off and your brain tries to negotiate. 5 more minutes. You need the rest. It's too cold. That voice in your head, the one trying to protect you, it's the same voice that's been keeping you small your entire life. Running in the morning teaches you how to shut that voice down. It teaches you that how you feel doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is what you committed to do. And every time you follow through, every time you silence that soft part of your mind, you strengthen your ability to act on command. There's something primal about stepping out the door while the stars are still out, your breath visible in the cold air, and your body not yet fully awake. You don't wait for inspiration. You go, you move, and that's where the real transformation begins. Morning running becomes more than a physical act. It becomes a daily practice of mental combat. You condition your mind to do the hard thing first. And when the first thing you do each day is hard, the rest of the day becomes easier in comparison. It builds layers of resilience that others can't replicate because they're still looking for a time or a mood to get started. Discipline is a muscle, and running before sunrise is how you train it. There's no audience, no applause, no validation. Just you and the cold truth of your commitment. That's why it's so powerful. No one's watching you. No one cares if you go or stay in bed. Fool. And that's what separates those who rise from those who rot. It's not about talent, and it sure as hell isn't about motivation. It's about decision, a daily decision that sharpens your edge and hardens your mind. Over time, those decisions become automatic. That's discipline, doing the right thing long after the mood has left. And here's the part people don't get. Discipline doesn't care about how tired you are. It doesn't care about your emotions. It's mechanical. When the alarm goes off, you get up. When your shoes are tied, you run. There's no room for debate. That's the mindset forged on those early morning streets. You become reliable, not to others, but to yourself, for yourself. You become the type of person who does what they said they would do, even when no one is checking. That level of trust with yourself is rare, and it only comes from repetition and discomfort. The world is full of people who want to be great. They talk about goals, they fantasize about success, but they don't build the discipline to back it up. Morning running is the forge that separates dreamers from doers. It's not about being fast or strong or athletic. It's about being relentless. Hey, when you run before sunrise, you beat the sun, you beat the world. And most importantly, you beat the part of yourself that still clings to weakness. That's how discipline is built. One cold, quiet mile at a time. Morning miles kill excuses before they're born. Excuses are parasites of the mind. They feed on comfort, grow in hesitation, and multiply in the space between intention and action. And the moment your eyes open in the morning, Your mind is already cooking up reasons to delay, to stall, to surrender. I'll run later. I didn't sleep well. It looks cloudy. It looks cloudy. Excuses are ready to pounce before your feet even hit the ground. That's why running in the morning isn't optional if you want to dominate your life. You don't give your brain time to reason its way into weakness. You get up, shut up, and move. Like, there's a magic in acting before thought has a chance to sabotage you. When you run early, you cut excuses off at the root. You silence that mental chatter with decisive action. You don't allow the day's chaos, responsibilities, or distractions to creep in and steal your momentum. You put yourself in control, total control. Before the emails, the phone calls, the drama of life start to pull at you, you've already planted your flag in the ground and said, I show up no matter what. That kind of mindset isn't normal. It's savage. And it's built by making action your default setting, not negotiation. Excuses thrive in the daylight. When the world starts moving, it gives you cover. If you skip your run at 4 p.m., you've got 100 things you could blame: work, kids, traffic, stress. But at 5 a.m., who do you blame then? There's no one. It's just you, the clock, and the truth. That's why morning running is pure. It exposes whether you're serious or not. You can't hide from the fact that if you didn't run, it's because you chose not to. That level of accountability, brutal as it is where real growth happens. Morning miles are preemptive strikes against your own laziness. You don't wait for motivation. You don't wait to feel ready. You act before your emotions even get a vote. That kind of habit rewires your brain. It teaches your subconscious that when the alarm rings, the answer is yes. No delay, sir. Yes. No delay. No debate. Just go. And the more you operate this way, the more you start to kill excuses in every part of your life, not just in training. Suddenly, you stop skipping the gym, stop dodging hard conversations, stop delaying goals. Why? Because you've trained your mind to choose action over avoidance. And that training becomes your identity. You stop being someone who tries and start being someone who executes. The people around you won't understand it. They'll still be waiting for perfect conditions, for more sleep, for inspiration to strike. But you're already drenched in sweat, already stacking wins, already ahead. Morning miles do more than burn calories. They burn off the dead weight of excuses. They strip away the lies you've been telling yourself and force you to live in truth. And the truth is simple. You either do or you don't. When you live this way, there's no room left for weakness. You become ruthless with yourself. You recognize excuses for what they are, cowardice in disguise, and you choke them out before they take root. Morning running is your weapon. It's your daily battle plan. You show up before the world, before the noise, before the doubts, before the doubt. You show up when it's hard, when it's cold, when your body wants no part of it. And every time you do, you sharpen your edge. Excuses, they don't stand a chance. Not anymore. Early running strengthens mental fortitude. When you run early in the morning, you're not just training your legs, you're training your will. Your alarm goes off and the war begins. It's dark, it's cold, you're sore. Everything inside you whispers, not today, but you rise anyway. You put your feet on the floor and face the discomfort. That right there, that act of defiance against your own weakness is how you build mental fortitude. Every time you do it, you're stacking bricks inside your mind. Not soft ones, not breakable ones, solid, unshakable granite. Eventually, you create a fortress, no setback, no excuse, no storm can tear down. Most people have no tolerance for discomfort. The second something hurts, they stop. The second their breath gets heavy or their muscles start to burn, they retreat. That's because they've never trained their minds to override their bodies. Early running is where that override switch is built. It forces you to push through the resistance before the sun even touches the horizon. You feel the heaviness in your chest, the tightness in your legs, but you don't quit. You keep going. That decision to keep moving, to fight through the internal resistance, strengthens a muscle far more powerful than your quads, your mind. When you run in the morning, especially when you don't want to, you're showing yourself who's in charge. It's easy to be motivated when you're full of energy and everything's going right. But mental fortitude isn't forged in perfect conditions. It's forged when everything sucks, when your bed is warm, when your body aches, when your spirit's low. That's when it matters most. And every time you choose to run through that pain, you're chipping away at the weakness inside you. You're proving to yourself that you're not governed by feelings. You're governed by commitment. And don't get it twisted. This has nothing to do with athleticism. You don't have to be fast, and you don't have to be fast. You don't have to be elite. You just have to refuse to quit. That refusal, that inner fight is what hardens you. Every step is a lesson in perseverance. Every mile is a middle finger to the voice in your head telling you to give up. That's how you go from fragile to unbreakable. It's not a single act. It's the accumulation of 1,000 mornings where you ran through the resistance, through the pain, through the mental fog, and came out stronger on the other side. What most people call hard, you start calling normal. That's the shift. Calling normal. That's the shift. You stretch your tolerance for discomfort. You expand your capacity to suffer. You start to operate at a level others can't even comprehend because they're still trying to find a shortcut. But you already paid the price with your sweat, your pain, and your commitment. You're not fragile anymore. You don't back down when things get hard. You've been baptized in early morning suffering. You know how to show up even when you're empty, and that makes you dangerous. Mental fortitude isn't built in the light. It's built in the dark when no one sees you. It's built when you do the run no one else wants to do at the hour no one else is willing to get up. You develop this edge not by talking about it, not by reading about it, but by living it. You feel the suck and you run anyway. You learn that pain isn't the enemy. Surrender is. Surrender is. And once you harden your mind in the early hours, there's nothing life can throw at you that you haven't already faced in that cold, lonely fight with the pavement. That's real fortitude. Earned, never given. Earned, never. Morning runs train you to dominate pain. Pain isn't the enemy. It's the doorway. But most people treat it like a wall, something to avoid, something to fear. That's why they stay soft. That's why they stay average. Morning runs flip that completely. Refade. When you roll out of bed before the sun, your body is stiff, your joints ache, your mind is groggy. But if you step into that pain, if you train your body and your mind to run through it, you're not just building endurance. You're learning how to dominate pain instead of being dominated by it. The pain in those early hours is different. It hits harder because your body isn't ready. Your muscles are still half asleep. Your mind hasn't warmed up. But that's the test, and that's why it works. You're not just conditioning your legs, you're conditioning your response to suffering. Oh, you learn to stop flinching. You learn to stop asking for comfort. You become numb to excuses and alert to opportunity. Pain becomes your teacher, your training partner. Every stride says, I don't run away from it. I run into it. That's a rare mentality in a world addicted to ease. Every time your lungs burn, your legs scream, or your side cramps up, you're handed a choice. Back off or push through. That moment is everything, because how you respond to pain on the run is how you'll respond to it in life. If you fold when it hurts, you'll fold when the pressure's on. But if you learn to keep moving, even when your body begs you to stop, you rewire your brain to see pain not as a stop sign, but as a green light, a signal that you're doing it right. That's what morning runs teach you. Not how to escape pain, but how to own it. You have to understand the body is built to survive. It's built to conserve energy to avoid unnecessary hardship. But the mind can be trained to override that survival instinct. That's what you're doing every single morning. You're teaching your body to shut up and follow. The pain doesn't disappear. You just stop giving it power. You realize that most of it is just your mind throwing tantrums. The discomfort is temporary, but the strength you gain from pushing through it, that becomes permanent. What happens when you stop fearing pain? You become free. You no longer second guess the hard road. You stop overthinking and start attacking. Morning running carves that attitude into your DNA. You no longer ask, is this too hard? Instead, you ask, how much more can I take? You begin to see pain as a challenge, not a threat. It's no longer something that breaks you. It becomes the tool that shapes you into something harder, tougher, more relentless. That shift doesn't happen in a classroom. It happens on cold pavement, under a dark sky, with nothing but your willpower keeping you in motion. Every runner who's faced pain knows this. On the other side of that suffering is power, real power, not the fake kind people post about online. I'm talking about the quiet, internal, forged in fire kind, the kind that comes from earning your toughness. Morning runs give you a daily opportunity to earn that, to stare pain in the face and move through it anyway. You don't need motivation when pain knocks. You need grit. You need heart. You need to look it dead in the eye and say, oh, let's go. That's how you dominate pain. That's how you become someone who can't be broken. Running clears mental clutter. Your mind is a war zone. Thoughts flying everywhere. Regrets from yesterday, stress about today, fear of tomorrow. It's loud, it's messy. And if you don't control it, it will control you. It will control. That's why morning running is so powerful. It gives you space to empty the noise and organize the chaos. There's something about putting your feet to the pavement when the world is still silent that allows clarity to rise through the fog. It's not about the miles, it's about the mental reset. So you're not running away from your problems, you're running through them. Most people wake up and immediately get pulled into the storm. Texts, emails, social media, other people's drama. Before they've had a single moment to check in with themselves, their brains are flooded with external noise. But when you run first thing in the morning before the noise starts, you reclaim that space. You put your mind into motion before the world can fill it with garbage. As the blood flows and the breath deepens, the stress starts to lift. The racing thoughts begin to slow. The inner voice, the one that's usually buried under distraction, starts to speak louder and clearer. On the run, there's no one to impress, no notifications, no comparisons, just you, your breath, your heartbeat, and the rhythm of your steps. That simplicity is where clarity lives. You start to see solutions where there used to be anxiety. You start to hear direction where there used to be doubt. Running becomes therapy, not because it fixes your problems, but because it clears enough space in your mind for you to face them. That mental decluttering is something you can't buy, can't fake, and can't shortcut. It has to be earned, mile by mile, step by step. The body and the brain are connected. When your body is stagnant, your thoughts get stuck. That's why you feel trapped when you sit too long, when you stew and worry, when you let stress build. But running shakes all that loose. You literally run your thoughts into motion. The rhythm of your feet becomes the metronome for your mind. Solutions start forming. Priorities realign. Perspective sharpens, and even if you're not aware of it, you come back from that run lighter, not just physically, mentally. You've dumped the mental junk that was slowing you down. And here's the part most people miss. Running doesn't just clear your mind once. It teaches you how to access that clarity whenever you need it. The more you run, the more tuned in you become. You recognize when your mind's getting cluttered. You feel it when stress is building, when thoughts are piling up. And now you have the tool to handle it. Not a pill, not a scroll, a run to a weapon. You stop being the victim of mental noise and become the one who clears it out on command. When the world's chaos tries to drown you, your run is the lifeline. You grab it, you move, and with every step, you reclaim your mental real estate. That's what morning running does. It teaches you to clean your mental house before the world even wakes up. You come back stronger, sharper, more focused, not because life is easier, but because your mind is clearer. You become the eye of the storm, calm, collected, ready. While everyone else is drowning in mental noise, you're already 3 miles ahead. Mind empty, mission clear. You start the day with a win. Most people start their day losing. They hit snooze. They scroll social media. They avoid the cold, the discomfort, the responsibility. And before their feet even hit the floor, they've already surrendered. But when you get up early and run, before the world has a chance to influence your mood, you stack a victory that can't be taken away. No matter how the rest of the day goes, stress at work, chaos at home, pressure mounting, you already have one win locked in. And that win creates momentum. You didn't talk about action. You took it. You didn't hope to feel strong. You earned strength. You earned strength before sunrise. Running in the morning is about sending a clear message to yourself. I am in control. That first win sets the tone for everything else. It's not just physical. It's psychological warfare. You've already done something hard. You've already fought through the voice that told you to stay in bed. You showed yourself that discipline wins over comfort. So when the next challenge shows up, a tough meeting, a difficult decision, or life just punching you in the face, you've already developed the edge. That edge comes from the run, from getting uncomfortable early and coming out on the other side stronger. That win isn't just a good feeling. It's a reprogramming of your identity. You start becoming the person who shows up, the person who doesn't flinch, the person who keeps promises made in silence. That early run becomes a ritual, your daily reminder that success isn't magic. It's sweat, it's effort, it's the choice to move when everything says to wait. While others are waking up sluggish and reactive, you've already chosen to be aggressive, to attack. That's a win most people never experience, and it becomes fuel for the fire that burns in you all day. One win leads to another. You've probably heard that phrase before, but this is how it actually works. When you do something hard at the start of your day, you create mental traction. That traction makes it easier to stick to your diet. Stay focused at work, say no to distractions, and push through later challenges. You gain confidence not from reading quotes or watching videos, but from doing something difficult and succeeding before most people have even opened their eyes. That's not hype. That's power. Real power, built, not given. You start walking through your day differently when you've already conquered something difficult. Your posture changes. Your energy is sharper. Your tolerance for stress is higher. Why? Because you've already suffered and didn't quit. That run is more than exercise. It's a psychological anchor, something you can mentally return to during the day when things get rough. I didn't quit this morning, so why would I quit now? It reminds you that you're capable of doing hard things. And when you prove that to yourself daily, your whole mindset starts shifting into overdrive. This isn't about being a morning person. It's about being a mission person. The mission is growth. The mission is self-respect. The mission is to stop living soft. Morning runs are proof that you're willing to start your day by facing adversity head on. And that's a win no paycheck, no praise, and no trophy can match. It's a personal victory. Quiet, lonely, but life-changing, because you didn't wait for motivation. You didn't wait for conditions to be perfect. You created momentum with your own 2 feet. That first win builds your mindset, your discipline, your self-belief, and that becomes your launch pad for everything else. You stop being a slave to mood. Most people let their emotions run their life. If they feel tired, they silk. If they feel unmotivated, they delay. If they feel sore, they quit. Their day is dictated by mood, not mission. But when you wake up early and run, especially when you don't want to, you start breaking that dependency. You train your mind to understand a hard truth. You don't need to feel like doing something to do it. That shift from being emotionally reactive to being mission-driven is what separates the weak from the relentless. Running in the early morning is a direct attack on that part of your brain that waits for the right time. There is no perfect time. There is only now. The weather doesn't care how you feel. The clock doesn't care how tired you are. Life doesn't slow down so you can get your energy right. Morning running forces you to rise regardless of your emotional state. You feel lazy, you go. You feel drained, you go. You feel like hell, you still go. That kind of repetition erases the need for permission from your feelings. You become action-oriented, not emotion-driven. At first, it feels brutal. You'll hear the voice in your head screaming, "You're too tired. You're not ready. You need more rest." That's your comfort-based identity begging for survival. It wants you to stay soft, stay safe. But when you lace up and run anyway, you're taking the power back. You're retraining your mind. You're building an identity based on execution, not excuse. It's not about ignoring how you feel. It's about refusing to be controlled by it. That's the discipline you carve out in the cold early miles when your whole being tells you to stop. Once you develop that muscle, the ability to act independently of your mood, everything in your life changes. You stop waiting for the spark to work on your goals. You stop hoping for the perfect conditions to make a move. You don't need to feel good to train, to lead, to fight, because you practice doing the work while feeling like crap. Most people never build that level of emotional detachment. They ride the wave of their feelings and call it a self-awareness. But you become a storm. You move regardless of the forecast. This is where the transformation really begins. You stop saying things like, "I'm not feeling it today," because you've realized that your feelings are irrelevant to your mission. That's the gift morning running gives you. It demands consistency in the face of emotional chaos. You show up whether you're sad, angry, tired, anxious, and that repetition kills your reliance on the roller coaster of mood. You develop a rock-solid, bulletproof mindset that acts without hesitation, because hesitation is the enemy. It's the gap where weakness creeps in. When you live this way, when you show up rain or shine, joy or pain, you become dangerous, not because you're the strongest, not because you're the fastest, but because you're unshakable. You move with purpose, not permission. You become immune to excuses because you've slaughtered the biggest one. "I don't feel like it." That's the level most people never reach, not because they can't, but because they won't get uncomfortable enough to break their addiction to mood. But you broke it mile by mile. And now nothing can stop you. Running every morning isn't just about fitness. It's about forging a mindset that refuses to quit. It's about getting up when the world is sleeping, lacing up when your body says no, and pushing forward when everything in your mind screams to stop. Hey, those early miles shape something deeper than muscle. They shape character. They teach you how to silence excuses, how to move through